is The Real, broadcasting around the world. From Tampa, Florida, this is Russ Ward.
What is up? My name is Russ Ward, and this is The Real. And this is the first real episode of The Real, and it has been a long time coming. I actually started The Real podcast way back in 2020 during the COVID lockdowns, and I just got online, I made some YouTube videos, I called it The Real, and I basically just spewed my opinion about a whole bunch of different things. I realized not that many people at the time really cared about my opinion, so I kind of lost interest and I just stopped making episodes. As time went along, my podcast, the Lead King podcast, actually kind of took off. I had a lot of really cool interviews. I had a lot of good feedback where people said, hey, some of those interviews were really helpful to me, not just in business, but also personal, because we talk about a lot of comeback stories and people who go through a tough time and they come back and they do really well in their lives. So a lot of people said that that was really helpful to them. So along the way, I had this great idea that I was going to become a motivational speaker. I was going to tell my story. I was going to tell everybody how I was suicidal, how I very much considered killing myself on multiple occasions for a span of about 2 weeks, how I got over that, how I built a six-figure marketing business, and how I made life wonderful again. And then what I was going to do is parlay that into a TED Talk, and from there, maybe do some speaking engagements. And to really kick that off, what I wanted to do was have a new podcast just for that particular topic. And I was going to call it Real Talk with Russ Ward. I met with a coach, and the coach said, hey, let's not do the real. Let's do something new. And I came up with Real Talk with Russ Ward. So I went out and I actually had Magic Johnson, the basketball player, the all-time great, endorse it. He said, hey, this is a great thing. The concept of the podcast was going to be so men could talk about things that they usually don't talk about, things like relationships, failures, mental health issues, things that guys are just not comfortable talking about in general, right? And specifically to other guys. So I wanted that to be, I hate this term, but kind of a safe space for men to go and they could talk about these issues and we could share it with other men. Maybe it would inspire them, right? Maybe a guy really is suicidal, but he doesn't want to talk about it. And maybe hearing the podcast helps him to go out and find some help. Maybe the guy doesn't kill himself, right? That was kind of the concept, the initial beginning concepts of what that was all about. So I got into it. I lined up a couple of interviews with some really, really amazing people. In fact, what I've done is I've repurposed those interviews for this podcast because they're so good. I don't want to lose them. I don't want to lose the content because the interviews are amazing and they're very helpful to anybody who listens to them. The first interview I did was with a man by the name of Ken Walls. Ken is one of the most successful people that I know personally. He has worked with Grant Cardone before Grant was a billionaire. He has worked with some of the most famous authors of all time. And he just has a story that will blow you away. I mean, the guy was a multimillionaire and then he lost it all. As he said, he literally drank it all away. He became homeless, living in his car. And he just talks about the process he went through to get back from being homeless, living in his car, to having a great life again and having a successful business and having plenty of money and having a great family. And then the next one was Jesse Elder. Now, Jesse is one of the most amazing humans I've ever met. I learned to meditate from Jesse. I met Jesse through a digital marketing course I took. He did the section on mindset, and I can't even really describe Jesse in just a couple of words. He's just that amazing. But what Jesse discusses is a concept of time piercing. In his belief, and I believe this too, and there's some other quantum proofs that he's right about this, where everything's happening at the same time. What you think is in the past is happening now. What you think is in the present is happening now. What you think is in the future as like something you're imagining is also happening now. So Jesse goes into great depth about how that works and what we can do to take advantage of that so we can use it to help us in our lives. In addition to other things, he's a super inspirational guy. If you listen to that interview, you will get a ton out of it. So I promise you will. I'm going to post that as well. So make sure you listen to Jesse and Ken. Those guys went out of their way to help me out to really launch a podcast that didn't really go anywhere. And so that's kind of the explanation for why Real Talk with Russ Ward started. Now, why did I get rid of it? I was 2 episodes in. I had these great interviews. I was like, yeah. And then I started thinking, who's my audience here, right? Because the people that were responding to this initially, they weren't really people who were my target per se. They were more people like, hey man, I appreciate the inspiration and I'm going to go back to, doing nothing, right? I'm just going to be real and raw and honest here. Okay. That's Real Talk with Russ Ward. That's what it was. Well, the real with Russ Ward is me being a little bit more hardcore than that. So initially, I thought I wanted to reach all these people. I wanted to be a savior of humanity. I wanted to stop people who had terrible mental health from killing themselves and, stop their suffering and all this other stuff. I really wanted to do that. And then I realized, do I even really give a fuck about most of these people? Because I didn't really have this burning passion to do it. And I thought about it and I thought, no, deep down, I really don't. In fact, the only people in this group that I actually give a shit about are the people that were like me. And what I mean by that is that people who are suffering, they went through a lot, trials and tribulations, and it's to the point now where they just want to fucking give up because it sucks so bad. So just to rewind, and eventually I'll retell this story, I was laying there with a gun to my head, the gun in and out of my mouth for about a 2-week period. I don't really believe I was clinically depressed. I didn't go and verify this or not verify this, but I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel like, oh, I'm so sad, I just want to kill myself. What I felt was that I was trying everything in the world to change my situation. I had a $10 million lawsuit by the NFL. I had a $119,000 tax lien. My house was in foreclosure. My cars were getting repossessed. I didn't have any income. I had an MBA, but I had no corporate experience, and I had no way to get to work even if I did because there weren't buses where I lived. I had cars, and they were about to get repossessed. So I was in a situation where my whole life was falling apart. I didn't really have a solution, and the solutions I was trying, quite honestly, they were failing. And I was throwing tons and tons of shit against the wall to see what would stick, and nothing was sticking. I was in a spot where I was like, look, this just sucks so bad. Like, I can't even pay the water bill. I can't get food. I can't even have my kids at my house. They have to go with their mother because I can't even feed them when they're here. What kind of a life is this? And I was seriously contemplating, would I rather just be dead than continue to live like this for the rest of my life? At the time, I was in my late 30s, and I was like, I probably have it, at least another 40 years of this to go, and I probably would rather be dead than live like this for the next 40 years. Eventually, I realized that I'm not going to do it, because if I was going to do it, I would have. And I also realized that I didn't want my kids to find their dad's head splattered against the wall and cause that kind of just grief to them and that stigma they would have the rest of their lives. So I didn't pull the trigger. I got up off the floor. I started doing an internet search for reasons to want to live. How do I make my life better? All the same bullshit that I had searched for before. But this time I was searching a little bit harder because I'm like, no, I'm not going to kill myself. So I got to find a way to make this shitty feeling stop. And I found some things. I found some inspirational things. I found Les Brown. I found Eric Thomas. I found Joel Osteen. I found T.D. Jakes. I found a whole bunch of inspirational people, and they helped me get the mindset back that, hey, no matter what's wrong, no matter what's going on, you can actually fix this thing. Other people have done it. If they've done it, then you can do it. And I started to believe that. And I started to learn about law of attraction, and not even really law of attraction at first. It was just, if I put a positive thought out there, then I'm probably going to be more likely to get a positive result. And I started finding that to be true. Positive thoughts led to positive results. Positive thought led to positive results. And I started working out again, and I started eating a little better. I didn't really have much to eat, so I ate what I could, and what I could was better food than what I had been eating. So that's kind of how all that got started. But then I realized there's a whole different segment of people out there that weren't like me. There's a whole bunch of people in this world that are just like, oh, I'm so sad. My life sucks so bad. Don't know how this happened. And I'm just a victim. I cannot stand those people. And I'm not saying that in a harsh way. I hope you die. I was like, I would rather die than feel like this. So I seriously can't get it through my head how somebody could go through life and enjoy the process of being a victim. Now, I get it in a conceptual type of way, because if you're always a victim, then you always have an excuse for not doing something or not having success or whatever your bullshit reason for anything at all that you don't achieve that you wanted to achieve or that you should achieve, or you don't have a job, you suck as a parent, you suck as a spouse, you suck at everything. Okay, cool, I'm a victim. I have mental health issues. I'm suicidal, blah, 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 right? I get it. That's probably why people do that. And I don't delve too deep into that because I really don't care that much. If that's you and that's how you feel, then more power to you. Go do that. If that's your thing, do it. If you do, that sucks for your family. And if you don't, then I hope you will turn it around and take some action and do some things a little bit differently. However, my purpose in life is not to reach you and to coddle you and to pet you and tell you to be okay and better. And that's kind of where my mission was trending in the past. And that's what kind of got me disgusted with myself. I was finding a lot of these types who are like, oh, I'm a victim, pet me and stroke me and tell me it'll be okay and tell me I can get a therapist and all this bullshit. You might need all that stuff. I'm not your guy for that. I personally pulled myself by the boots, up off the floor, sucked it up. Nobody had to tell me to do it. Nobody had to call me a pussy. I did it all internally. And that's the kind of person that I'm looking to reach. If I can help people like that, somebody that says to me, hey, bro, my life is all fucked up. I saw that you made some positive moves. How did you do it? I'm more than happy to help that person. I will bend over backwards. I will break my back to help that person. However, if somebody comes at me, hey, man, I'm a victim. Here's all the reasons why my life sucks and why it won't change. I'm sorry, I'm not the guy for you. You need a therapist. You need a counselor. You need, I don't know, maybe another victim to sit there and you can say victim stuff back and forth. So that's why Real Talk with Russ Ward is gone, because it was trending toward that. I don't want to be that guy. I'm not that guy. I don't feel bad for you. I'm disgusted with you if you're that person. Okay. And I know there's mental health and there's chemical imbalances and all this bullshit. And you're going to think I'm mean for this. And yes, I'm mean. Okay. I'm mean. I admit that I'm mean, but I'm not your guy. So go find somebody else if that's who you're looking for. Now, for all the other people who were like me, who made a series of bad choices in their life. They weren't an alcoholic. They weren't a drug addict. They just simply made a lot of bad choices, fucked up their whole life. And now here they are. They might be middle-aged man and they might be laying on the floor thinking, how the fuck did it come to this? And how do I get out of this situation? I'm your guy for that. You take accountability for your problems. You take accountability for what you did, how you caused it. I get that. I've been there. I've overcome that multiple times. And I can help you with that. You're the kind of person that I'm looking to reach because I know there's a path back from that because I have walked that path a couple of times. If that's you and you are in that situation and you're not somebody who's a victim and you're trying to find a way out and you don't want to give up, I want to reach you. I want my message to get into your ears. I want to interact with you personally. Someday I hope to write a book and I hope you'll read it. Someday I hope to speak on stages at a 10X stage and I hope you'll be there. That's who I'm looking to reach. So I wanted to clarify. So this is why I brought the real back, because I just want to be real with you, man. I don't give a shit about those people, but there are people that I do give a shit about. And the people that I give a shit about are my people, the people I want to hang with, the people I want to spend my life with, the people I want to do life with, not victims. People who take action, people that might have fucked up their life and they might be in a tough spot and they might not feel so good about it and they might not have a lot of answers right now, but they're open to it. They're open to working for it. They're open to discussing it. They're open to whatever it takes. That's the kind of person I'm looking for. Now that we have that out of the way, I have personally been going through a difficult situation now for coming up on a couple of years. And like most people, I fake it well on social media because I do have my highlights. I have an 11-year-old daughter who I do a lot of really cool stuff with. We take some fun trips. We go to theme parks. We go on the boat. We do all kinds of really cool stuff. And I put a lot of that on social media. And those are honestly my happiest times of my life. Things that I do with my 11-year-old daughter, Emma. We have so much fun together, and she's just such a ball of love and life and wonder and joy. She's everything that I would hope for in a little human her age, especially my little human, my daughter. As a father, she's my third child. I wasn't a very good dad with my first two kids. I was a kid having a kid. I had my son at the age of 21 years old. I didn't know what to do. I had been kicked out of 3 colleges by that time. I was going nowhere, and I had a couple of failed businesses already. And so my wife at the time, she said, look, either go to college and finish or join the military and provide for your family. I didn't go to college and finish. I had been kicked out of 3 colleges. So I joined the military. I joined the Navy, and it was great for me. It was great for my family. And I was able to provide a good life. I ended up getting some college degrees. I served my country very honorably. I did things that I'm very, very proud of. I was the second ship to deploy after 9/11. I was on the USS Wasp. I deployed on the ground with a SEAL team. I did some really, really great things that I'm very proud of. And in the process, I grew up a lot. I was able to provide for my family. I was able to provide a really nice life. My kids grew up most of their early years in Hawaii at the beaches and in a beautiful, amazing culture in Hawaii. It was a really good life. It was a really good decision. One of the good decisions that I've made in life. I've made a lot of bad decisions, but that was a really good decision. However, when my kids were my older two, Russell and Cameron, he's now 23 and she's 19. I wasn't that great of a dad. Okay, I was a mess. I was messed up. I had mental health issues that I hadn't dealt with. I had all kinds of inner traumas. I was emotionally outbursting. I had a horrible temper. Sometimes I would even smash in the TV and then I'd throw it in the trash and then I would buy a new TV. I mean, it was bad. I was a pretty bad person when I was in my mid-20s and I had a temper and I didn't know what to do. I had no answers. All I knew was to lash out and be angry. And I tried to be a good dad. I played with my kids. I took them on trips. I did the best I could, I thought at the time. Now, looking back, I could have done much better. However, we all have traumas as a child, and I'm sure I caused some traumas in my older two kids. And I'll forever regret that. I'm doing the best I can to be the best dad I can at this point. However, some damage has been done, and we're going to have to work on that for the rest of their lives and my life. But I'm willing to do that because I love my children, and I want to be the best dad I can for the rest of their lives and my life. So getting back to my daughter Emma, because of all the practice and because I've improved my life considerably, I've been able to be a better dad to her. And I kind of feel guilty a little bit too, because she gets my better dadding skills than my older two kids. But I mean, I'm not going to take that away from her just because I got better at dadding, right? I don't even know if dadding is a word, but that's what the word I'm going to use is. And so I put that on social media. I put all my business successes on there, like we all do, man. We all show our highlight reel on social media. And one of the reasons I do it, I do it. I'll be raw with you guys. I do it for a couple of reasons. Number one, I do it because I want to feel like if I look at my social media, I'm like, okay, my life is pretty good. It doesn't suck nearly as bad as it seems to. When in real life, it does suck in a lot of ways that maybe I'm not dealing with. And number two, when I post things on social media, for instance, my business successes or that I'm just a normal guy, a lot of people tend to do business with me because people like to do business with other people like them that they like, admire, trust, all that good stuff, right? I put a lot of business successes on there. I put a lot of personal opinions on there, and I put some stuff about my daughter on there. But what I've found is over the last couple of years, even though I've been really suffering in a lot of ways, all self-imposed again, by the way, I'm not a victim. I'm not one of those people. Nobody really knows about this stuff because I'm so good at covering it up because of my social media appearances. And the only people that really know about this stuff is the people I share it with. And so I haven't really had much help or support in pushing through some of these things, quite honestly, because I haven't asked for it. I've just been trying to figure it out on my own. And then every once in a while, somebody will pop into my life and say, hey, listen, dude, you need to make changes here, here, and here. And it's just advice out of nowhere. Well, that happened yesterday. So part of these things that I've been going through is for the last couple of years, I don't know what happened. I used to have this magic touch where everything I touched turned to gold. I would start something and it would make money or it would be successful or whatever. Like the first podcast I launched, it became number 5 in the whole entire United States in the business category within a week. Like that's how good it was. It was part of everything I touched turned to gold. Somewhere along the way that stopped. I have some theories on that. I might make another podcast on why I think that happened, but it did stop. And I've had a series of failures like you wouldn't believe ever since. I've started multiple businesses that failed. I've lost, I don't know, $150,000 plus on all these failures that I've had. Yeah, it's a lot of fucking money. And I regret that. I replayed it in my head. I beat myself up. I do all the stupid shit that we all do when there's nothing I can do about it now other than learn from the experiences and do better and make better decisions next time, right? So I've had all these bad experiences caused by my own basically limiting beliefs, subconscious thoughts, all this stuff that we all know is really in there, but a lot of us don't like to think about all that much. And so I'm on like a 2-year streak now of things not working out so well. So yesterday I was just doing something I normally do. When things aren't working, I'm always looking for solutions. I'm always trying something new. I'm never giving up and quitting. I might do that for like a day. I might like curl up in a hoodie and be like, this sucks, I quit. That doesn't last for very long. At least it doesn't anymore. It used to. And I came across a Gary Vee video and he's going on and on about some stuff. And then at the end, he talks about how if he could get just 3 people out of this audience of like 900 to just make a video and talk about all their failures, everything they messed up in their life, and just put it out to the world. And he said that human insecurity is the #1 cancer in the world. And the easy way to alleviate that is to just put it out there. So I went ahead and I typed it all out. I typed out all my failures, all my insecurities, and everything that I'm sorry for. And then what I did was I made a video of me basically reading this. And then at the end, I said, hey, I know I read that. It looks kind of not authentic, but it was. But it was a lot of shit to read. And I was like, look, I'll try anything. So I tried that. Posted this on social media, sent it out to a few people. And then boom, about 2 to 3 minutes into this, one of my mentors contacts me. And he says, dude, call me right now. So I call him and he goes, take that shit down. And I asked him why. And he goes, you don't want that shit out there to the world. You look like a victim. Your face looks sad. and you're basically just making a list of all these failures and all these sad things, and you don't give any solutions to all of them. You're a person who's talked a lot about all your fuck ups and your failures, and you always provide a solution. This is what I did about it. This is what I did about it. Well, in that video you just made, you didn't say this is what I did about it. You just like, okay, I'm sorry. And he was right. So I went ahead and I took the video down, and I had actually sent the link to a whole bunch of people because I was going to go all in like Gary Vee says to, right? A lot of people, when I took the link down, they were just like, hey, what happened, man? So that really got to me, right? I started thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, why do I keep trying this crazy shit? Like, oh, that sounds good. I'll try what Gary Vee says. Oh, that sounds good. I'll try what this guy says. Well, it's because I'm a rudderless ship in a lot of ways right now. I've been trying a lot of stuff. I've been throwing a lot of shit against the wall. And the only thing that's really been steady for me is my marketing business. I'm really good at a few kinds of marketing. I'm good at solar marketing. I'm good at mortgage marketing. I'm good at real estate marketing. And I'm good at final expense life insurance. And if you come to me and say, hey, I need leads and I need automations and I need marketing for these things, I'm your guy. I'll crush that for you. I'll get you great results. I'm also really good at setting up businesses, but I'm not so good recently at implementing, taking action and making those businesses make money. So that's kind of interesting too. So here I am. And I'm a couple years into this thing where my golden touch isn't really working like it used to. But my life is still pretty good. I mean, I live in a beautiful subdivision of Tampa, Florida. I mean, it's the most beautiful place in the world. It's the freest place in the United States, as far as I know. And life is overall, if you looked at me from the outside, you'd be like, dude, you have an amazing fucking life. What's wrong with you? Shut the fuck up. Well, it's not up to my standards. I am greatly failing in ways that I judge myself. So why did I just share all that with you? I shared all that with you to let you know that I'm a guy who fucked up his whole life multiple times. I continue to strive to get better. I continue to strive to improve, change, just basically do things in a huge way. I don't do anything small. Why would you do that? I don't understand why anybody does. But I also wanted to explain why I got rid of the last podcast, because I hate those people. I hate those people. I hate the victims. And I know hate is a powerful word. I'm so sick of people telling me and other people what to think and what words to say. I hate those people. If you're a victim who just doesn't want to give any effort, and you just want to lay there and take government assistance for your whole life, and you want people to feel bad for you, that's fine. But stay away from me. Don't listen to my podcast. Don't comment on my shit. Don't come to me for any reason and probably assume that you're like, I don't want to be around you anyway. That's cool, because I don't want any parts of you. So that's why I got rid of that podcast. That's what I'm doing now. And I'm going to share this journey of a really frustrating time in my life that I've been dealing with. I'm not going to share it with you in a way that's like, oh, I'm such a victim and nothing I'm doing is working, which is true. A lot of the shit I'm doing isn't working. However, I'm not a victim. I'm just messed up. I'm figuring out ways to not be messed up. So what happens from here? Well, in the upcoming episodes of this podcast, it's not going to be as serious of a tone all the time. It could be, but it's probably not. I'm going to tell you some stories about some really wild shit that's happened in my life. I'm going to tell you some opinions that I have on some things. I'm going to give you some perspective that maybe you haven't thought about before. I may interview people. I probably won't. What I found is that a lot of people like it in the podcast that they've given me feedback on when I just jump on and I just freelance and I spitball and I talk like this. Not quite sure why people like it so much, but they do. So I'm going to do more of that, and hopefully you guys will listen. Hopefully you'll get something from it. Hopefully I'll reach some people, because deep down, I do care about other humans. I care about them a lot because nobody cared about me. And I know how horrible and terrible that feeling is when you feel like you're the most alone person in the world and you got one person in the world who even understands or cares about you. Okay, I get that. But you got to be somebody who wants to give an effort, man, or else I'm not going to say you deserve to be in that situation. Maybe you do. I don't know. But I'm not willing to go as far as to say that yet. But that's what I'm trying to reach here. I'm trying to reach those people while also entertaining you, while also giving my opinion. And I don't know where this podcast is going to go. Hopefully it does something cool, or maybe it's just a record of my thoughts, beliefs, and someday when I die, people will come back and they'll listen to this and be like, he was an interesting guy. Maybe I won't be forgotten. So that's all I got for you guys on the very first episode of the first episode of The Real Rebooted. Let's put it that way, because those old YouTube videos are archived now. And I hope you'll tune in again. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you'll give me a good review. And I promise that I will bring you good content. I will tell you good stories, and I will give you a different point of view. That's all I got for you for today.
After 52 trips to Vegas, after selling millions in bootleg DVDs, being sued by the NFL, and owning a multi-six-figure digital marketing business, Russ Ward felt like talking. You've been listening to The Real, broadcasting around the world from Tampa, Florida. We hope you're entertained, We know we had fun, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with Russ on Facebook at RussWard1111. The website is RussWard.net, and find him on YouTube at RussWard.tv. Till next time, keep it real.